Last night I listened to Paul and Kelvy throw essentially everyone I know under the bus and say they're not Christians because they're Seventh-day Adventist. Because they were arguing that the commandments define sin, which is what we're saved from. And so we're not Christians because we believe that. Be corrected by the reality of the obvious. Okay. You like to use the church fathers ignorantly. So let me demonstrate what Iraneaus believed and said. And I'll give it's from, let's see, Against Heresies, chapter 16, paragraph 2, and onward. To give it context. And that man was not justified by these things, but that they were given as a sign to the people. This fact shows that Abraham himself, without circumcision and without observance of Sabbaths, believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. Then again, Lot, without circumcision, was brought out of Sodom, receiving salvation from God. So also did Noah, pleasing God, although he was uncircumcised, receive the dimensions of the ark of the world of the second race of men. Enoch too, pleasing God without circumcision, discharged the office of God's legate to the angels, although he was a man, and was translated and is preserved until now as a witness of the just judgment of God. Because the angels, when they had transgressed, fell to the earth for judgment, but the man who pleased God was translated for salvation. Moreover, all the rest of the multitude of those righteous men who lived before Abraham and of those patriarchs who preceded Moses were justified independently of the things above mentioned, without the law of Moses. And also Moses himself says to the people in Deuteronomy, the Lord thy God formed a covenant in Horeb. The Lord formed not this covenant with your fathers, but for you. Deuteronomy 5:2. Why then did the Lord not form the covenant of the fathers? Because the law was not established for righteous men. 1 Timothy 1:9. But the righteous fathers had the meaning of the Decalogue written in their hearts and souls. That is, they loved the God who made them and did not injure to their neighbor. There was therefore no occasion that they should be cautioned by prohibitory mandates, because they had the righteousness of the law in themselves. But when this righteousness and love to God had passed into oblivion and became extinct in Egypt, God did necessarily, because of his great goodwill towards man, reveal himself by voice and led the people with power out of Egypt, in order that man might again become the disciple and follower of God. And he afflicted those who were disobedient, that they should not contemn their creator, whatever that means. And he fed them with manna, that they might receive food for their souls. As also Moses says in Deuteronomy, and fed thee with manna, which thy fathers did not know, that thou might know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And it enjoined love to God and taught just dealing towards our neighbor, that we should neither be unjust nor unworthy of God, who prepares man for his friendship through the medium of the Decalogue, and likewise for agreement with his neighbor, matters which did certainly profit man himself. God, however, standing in no need of anything from man. And therefore, this is where it matters. Therefore, does the scripture say, the words the Lord spoke to all the assembly of the children of Israel on the mount, and he added no more. For as I have already observed, he stood in need of nothing from them. And again, Moses said, and now Israel, does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all your heart and with all your soul. Let's see. Okay. And therefore, it says, and again Moses said, now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God and walk in all his ways? Now these things did indeed make man glorious by supplying what was wanting to him, namely the friendship of God. But they profited God nothing, for God did not at all stand in need of man's love. For the glory of God was wanting to man, which he could obtain in no other way than by serving God. Therefore Moses says to them again, choose life that thou may live, and thy seed to love the Lord thy God, to hear his voice, and to cleave unto him, for this is thy life, and the length of thy days. Preparing man for this life, the Lord himself did speak in his own person to all alike the words of the Decalogue, and therefore in like manner do they remain permanently with us, receiving by means of his advent in the flesh extension and increase, but not abrogation. Preparing man for this life, says Iraneaus, the Lord himself did speak in his own person to all alike the words of the Decalogue, and therefore in like manner do they remain permanently with us, receiving by means of his advent in the flesh extension and increase, but not abrogation. You're